What's up, everybody? Nick Powell's publisher of 1851franchise.com. If you like these videos, please click subscribe above. We are talking Apóla Greek. Coming up next. All right, Yianni, before we get into the business, let's talk you. First of all, awesome that we are talking from across the world. That's the magic of technology. You're in Greece. I'm in America. But how did you fall into franchising? What is your franchise story?
So we had a few different concepts, all just individual off-brand, our own individual brands. And then when we wanted to do a truly authentic Greek fast casual, we said, well, let's try and do it right from the beginning. Went for the whole corporate style setup, and people were asking us since the first location if we were a franchise. And we kept saying no. And then we said, well, you know what? We set it up for growth, for just copy paste scale. Let's just do it. Let's franchise. And we found a good consultant that helped us out, and that's how we entered the franchise world.
How many units do you guys have now?
We have 2 corporate, 2 franchisees, and working on a group out of state right now.
Okay, where are the 4 locations now?
Irvine, California. Irvine, Yorba Linda, Valencia, Riverside.
Okay, so you're operating the business from Greece to America. How's that?
It's a long commute. So I fly out every couple months. Just, because yes, technology is great and it's good to have your team and your people, but you can never substitute your own eyes, right? What you see, what you feel when you go into your restaurants, into your locations.
Sure.
So scheduled weekly meetings, every night of the week. I might be up till 10 p.m., might be up until midnight just because of the time difference. So yes, I'm not there. I'm not physically there, but still it's, half the working day of California. I'm there, I'm available.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not vastly different from a franchisor that's in Florida and has units operating in Dallas. It's exactly virtually the same. It just you have a little bit longer of a commute when you come over. So why California? What was kind of the thought process behind how you wanted to build the construct of this brand, especially as an emerging concept?
So we were based out of California. We did our first location in San Pedro, California, and just started growing from there with restaurants. And then we did the first Apóla Greek Grill in Irvine. So then we just kind of stuck close by there. So we have family ties to California. I went to school in California. My brother went to school in California, and we started our restaurants there. So I actually moved back to Greece with my family in 2021.
Okay.
And so from 2019 to 2021, though, I was doing the whole setup to be able to do it remotely. It took about 2 years to get there. Yeah.
It's a rare story, but I would imagine there's another piece here that I think is important. And this could be my perception, but Greek food in America is Americanized Greek food. The pure fact that you're still back in the main country means the approach that you're taking on the product ends up being more authentic. So 2 sides to that. Is that accurate, or you say even traditional? Is that accurate? And do the customers understand that when they're trying the product?
So it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg, right? So when we did Apóla, it was because we couldn't find anything truly authentic. And because at that time we were full on in the States and we did it for us. So we didn't care. I mean, obviously we're in business to make money, right? But the main goal wasn't to just open a restaurant, people to come in and, start having crazy sales. The goal was, let's do something, let's do it right, let's do it authentic, let's do it how we would like to eat it, how we eat it back home, what we were, raised with, what we grew up with. And then whatever doesn't work for the American market, we kill or we adjust. But our main core values is that this is it. This is the authentic way to do it. This is the true way to do it. And that's it. For example, there's the hand-stacked chicken and there's the hand-stacked pork, which is actual gyro in Greece. It's not the ground beef and lamb. Granted, we also offer the ground beef and lamb, and it's about 50% of our sales because that's what people are used to. But we still stick to having our hand-stacked proteins just like you would find it in Greece. Now, later on when I moved here as well, it gave me the opportunity to work a little bit more with some more recipes, some more purveyors. We import a few different items, one of which being an excellent iced tea, because we saw a huge demand for Arizona iced tea, right? Granted, caffeine, sugar, giving people a kick. Well, okay, it's still iced tea though. So we brought in an Olympus Mountain iced tea, which is Greek mountain tea with lemon or peach flavor. And just it's better for you. It's lighter in flavor. It's not packed with sugar, and it's Greek. It's literally it's Olympic mountain tea. You cannot get Greeker than that, right? Yeah.
So these decisions that you've made as a business, and again, like you talk about what a gyro is to the traditional American consumer versus how it's consumed in Greek. There's a vast difference there. Is there education, like to even on the tea, you're creating a healthier approach to a beverage that is consumed with heavy sugars in America? Do the customers appreciate this effort that goes into it, or is it so backwards in the food category, Greek food category, that it's hard to change what they're accustomed to?
It's both.
Yeah.
It's both, and we see the differences between locations. So based on the demographics, because you'll have the group of people that. I'm sorry, I'm kind of gonna go off on a tangent, but I think we have it on our website or somewhere. But it's the beauty of Greek food and of gyro is that you can go both ways. You can either go full on healthy, or you can literally just, pastrami chili cheese fries, just kill it, right? Full on craving, unhealthy, as bad as can be. So it can go both ways, and that is Greek food. That is a Mediterranean diet. It's balanced. It has everything. So it's which extreme you want to follow. Now, in terms of the customers, again, we have the people that will come in and, hug us in tears that they finally found something truly authentic, either from when they were a kid in Greece or from when they did a semester abroad in Greece or from their honeymoon or whatever, that they finally found something that was exactly like it was in Greece. And then so there they appreciate it, right? But then you have the other segment, which is, well, in Chicago, we're used to getting the beef and lamb, and that's truly authentic. It's like, no, it isn't. And that's fine. We accept that. We accept it because, well, their money's still green. They're still buying our food. They still like our beef and lamb. They just argue what's authentic. That's fine. To each their own.
Yeah, and I think that right. That's okay. So you've conformed to the way that Americans consume Greek food, and you're bringing a flavor of international tradition into the concept. So if the customer wants to experience something different than what they're used to, they can. So how does this relate to sales? Talk about what are the sales doing on the corporate locations? You have an item 19.
We do. So the one location, and don't quote me 100% on this, but it's at 1.8. Our other one, it's at about 1.4, if I'm not mistaken.
Those are the corporate stores, right?
Those are the corporate stores, yeah.
And the franchisees, are you disclosing those in item 19 too?
One of them that's in a food court. The other one hasn't been open for a full year yet.
Got it. Okay, so it's still time. How would you say their validation is right now?
So the food court, I guess, kind of performed how we expected it to perform. He's constantly between number 2 and number 3 compared to like Sbarro in the food court, right? Panda Express is always number 1 in sales volume in the food court, so you can't beat that. However, unfortunately, that mall is not a strong performing mall. We consider it a dying mall. So he's not where he would like to be. And as we speak, he's sending out an LOI for a second location.
Got it.
To hopefully move to that location or keep them both if there's a turnaround in the mall in the next few months.
Well, there's probably a lesson to be learned there on where do you want to put your locations? Like you've already clearly proof of concept with the 2 corporate locations with that sort of volume. And I mean, I was looking at the cost to get in. Even on the high end, you're just a little bit north of $500,000. So you've engineered a pretty strong business that now I would imagine it's about aligning that business with the right buyers to see what the opportunity is. But when you're talking about somewhere even north of $1 million on a $500,000 investment, it's a well-engineered business.
It is. The market is constantly changing, though. So, there's always the new struggles of labor, of build-out costs and all that. Like on our new FTD that's has been submitted to the state of California now, we added probably 150,000 to the top end of that build-out just because of how everything has increased, right? But to go back to the lessons learned as well, being a new franchisor, the lesson we learned there is to be a little bit more, I guess, more firm on our beliefs and our core values and whether allowing or not allowing a location. Granted, this is an experienced franchisee from different brands, so we respected his experience as well. We're like, okay, yeah, go to the mall. You want to go to the mall? Go ahead. Unfortunately, it wasn't that successful as we all hoped it would be.
Yeah, I mean, the best success stories in franchising come from those that made even early decisions or making the pivot fast when something doesn't go right. It's because what happens on those first 10 locations will end up showcasing what is potential. If you go back to the moment that you decided to become a franchisor and where you are today, has it hit your expectation? Has it missed your expectations? Where did you expect to be as a visionary?
I think it's too soon to tell. We're not growing as fast as we had hoped, but that's also because we are becoming more and more selective on who we partner with. We had some groups that there's an expression in Greek, wherever you hear there's a lot of cherries, hold a small basket, right? So wherever we heard something that was extremely aggressive or over promising or whatnot, we would kind of just pull back. Because we're not experienced franchisors, we're experienced restaurateurs. And we can work great to train people and help them get on track to be successful on their operations. However, our franchise operations, we have a great team we work with. We have great consultants, people that work with Slim Chickens, that they work with Shack, that they work with probably, I don't know, 15 brands that if I say right now, everyone recognizes. So we partner with the right people, but at the same time, I can't, with a clear conscience, go to a group that wants to open 20 locations and say, yes, I'm an experienced franchisor, I can support you. I can't. And I think it would be a mistake to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, these are the moments in our conversation. This happens all the time where I hear something, and what you just said, there's a few things that are important. Talk about the depth that's behind the business. So you built consultants around you, but you also just said, we're not experienced franchisors, we're experienced operators. I would rather have an experienced operator than an experienced franchisor. Experienced franchisor sometimes get lost in the shuffle of what franchising is. An experienced operator goes back to the fundamentals and make sure that you're working on, unit level economics and the customer experience, which in turn will create more customers or will make the customers come back. If I were you, I would go back to the 11-minute mark of our conversation and push play. And I would take those words and I would put them on your website, because I think this is where oftentimes a gap happens in franchise storytelling and franchise growth. Is you have what the magic piece is. That this is a business built by operators for operators. You have the messaging, but when you land on the site, your positioning just says like buy an authentic Greek food franchise, and then there's a picture of your sign. It doesn't even show your authentic food. And so I look at this as a buyer and I'm like, you have some really cool things going on, but you got to lift that up. I would come out of the gates and talk about the honesty that you've gone through on real estate selection, that we've made some errors in judgment, but we've learned. And therefore, when we help you select your next property, we have even more insight and intel into what could work and what can't. And that ends up being valuable back to the buyer too. But I think part of the challenge for any franchisor is there's a million consultants or brokers who will tell you like you should have 1 billion locations in the next 5 years. Sometimes putting some of that blocking and tackling in play can have tremendous impact on where the brand goes, because I can see it, like all the fundamentals are there, you're just not deploying them yet.
I can see that. Yeah, I think we should play more on who we actually are versus who we will become.
That's right. Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. So what's the vision now? Like when you look at 2024, 2025, what are your expectations?
So we're almost done with this group out of state. I don't want to say which state yet. God willing, paperwork will wrap up with California and that state then, because they need approval too. And then it's just signatures. At that point, it will be, I believe, the true test of our systems, right? Once we go out of state, not with a location that we can be at within an hour. And God willing, all that goes well, I think we'll be able to, put in the next gear and step on the gas.
So you're feeling optimistic about where things are going?
As a brand, yes. As the economy, if that's where the question is going, I can't say the same.
Well, the economy thing, I mean, this isn't, it's an interesting side conversation on this, but I've heard franchisees say, well, I'm gonna wait to see what happens in the election. And my response is, sure, but over the course of your franchise agreement, there could be 3 different presidents. So how does it matter?
Yeah.
And that's where, that's where you got to look at the long term, and that's getting the right operator in place too.
So I was talking to the VP of one of our landlords, the VP of leasing, and this was a few years back. I asked him, what do you guys foresee for the economy, etc. It's like, look, we don't have a crystal ball. No one does. And there's all the indicators and all that. But in any economy, the only thing we can do is position ourselves in the best possible way that we can. And then no matter what the economy is, at least we did the best we could. And I think it's the same for franchising. It's the same for restaurants. One of our other concepts right now, I mean, it's probably $25-$30 a head. It's a full service diner, bar, bakery, all that crazy, massive menus. And we're talking with my brother and our management team. We're like, well, people don't have money to spend. I said, okay, so do we shut down or do we adapt? You just have to prepare. So we're doing an inflation buster menu. We're doing promos, adjusting some portions, because we're talking about, massive half-pound double burgers and all that good stuff. So you just have to adapt. You got to be ready for what's about to come. Yes, the indicators are there, so let's get ready for it. And we're doing the same with our Apóla menu right now too, which probably a couple of weeks we'll have the new menu out.
Yeah.
Small adjustments, get ready for it.
Well, I think again, your statement of nobody has a crystal ball is accurate. When I'm looking at any type of restaurant brand, there's a few things that I start looking at. One is you look at third-party delivery and the impact that it has to the business. And with those fees skyrocketing right now, eventually the customer is going to rebel against that. They're going to say, I'm paying too much in fees for a product. And, you see this with some restaurant brands. They charge you more for the product to come through third-party delivery. Well, what happens every second it's away from that kitchen is one more second that the product's quality is decreasing. And so when it gets to the customer, eventually they're going to rebel on that. So restaurant brands that are like, okay, how do we solve for this will be important, because take out those fees. I don't think I think the customers are going to still go out to eat. They're going to find ways to offset the cost of that. What you're doing with the larger menu is totally right, because when you have a menu that big, now you look at food cost and profitability, and you construct the menu to align with that. That's part of adapting to whatever the climate change is in the economy, so that the end user can easily find a solution, which it sounds like you're doing that. Now, even that line, purely that line of saying we're willing to adapt when things change, is another thing that I think is valuable as a franchisor, that says, like, yes, we have our the things that happen within our four walls, but it doesn't mean they're gonna have to stay like that tomorrow. I think you look at the brands like the self-serve frozen yogurt brands, when everybody was offering the same exact product, and now people didn't have to drive anywhere because you could walk down the block because there were a million of them. The customer didn't go away, but the experience never adapted to what was happening. So the ones that added, coffee or cafes, all of a sudden added a whole nother line to their menu so that the end user might pick them over someone else and use them on a multiple occasions. So it seems like, that's all the stuff that you're looking at the right way, which to a potential buyer, I think is deeply valuable.
Yeah, plus our size, the fact that we are small allows us to move quicker and adapt quicker. When COVID first hit, overnight we changed our online ordering and we were selling toilet paper, bleach, and bread. Why? Because that's what people needed. So, granted, we can't do that with our franchisees. We did it in our corporate stores, but still, the adaptability, the moving quick, and all that, it's there.
Well, I think if there's plenty of lessons from that, and I think it's only 4 years ago that COVID hits, but there was so much interest in adapting to figure out how do we get through this, and some of that mindset has gone away, and I think that's the brands that keep that top of mind end up having the greatest shot at success. So let's just say there's a candidate that's watched this, they've been dialed in, they're interested. Is there anything else you want them to know about the business opportunity before we say goodbye?
What was it? The 11-minute mark you said of the conversation?
Yeah, go listen to it again.
Yeah. Well, more than anything, look, anyone can go with, a pizza concept, a burger concept, and it'll be one of hundreds. If it's a sandwich concept or a burger concept. But how many Greek restaurants are there out there? Being in college in LA, first thing everyone asked me is, where's a good Greek place to go eat? Greek food was worldwide number 2 or number 3 most preferred cuisine. Where are all the Greek restaurants?
Right.
It's a severely underserved market, especially in the fast casual segment. And I think that in itself is something that will differentiate from, again, the hundreds of burger brands, the pizza brands, the sandwich brands. I don't know. I think it adds a little more security, in my opinion.
Well, again, like everything that we talked about, anything can change at any given moment, but the unit economics of your 2 corporate stores shows exactly what you're saying. Like the demand is there, the supply is limited, and you've had that proven in 2 locations, especially as you go out of state, there's going to be even more proof of concept. Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. I think you have something that's in a great category. I love it. And you have some early indicators that show this is positive. So thanks for sharing some of your story and for talking to me from across the world. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for your time and for helping us spread the word.
Of course. For Yianni, I'm Nick. This is another episode of Meet the Zor.